General Clarke doesn't either. Senator Ossoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Clarke, for your service and your testimony. As you know, as has been discussed, HBCUs across the country and 3 HBCUs in my home state of Georgia, Spelman College, Albany State, and Fort Valley State University, all received terrorist bomb threats in February. I've been in close touch with the leadership at these schools. They are resilient institutions. The students and faculty are resilient and determined to continue their work, their learning, their enlightenment, their education in the face of these threats. And they have no intention of allowing them to instill fear or stoke division in our country. I'd like your assurance, Ms. Clarke, that the department will do everything in its power to investigate these threats, to hold accountable those responsible for these threats, and to be available to these institutions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to ensure that they're protected.
Thank you, Senator Ossoff. Hate crimes, threats targeting protected minority groups is an important part of our work at the Justice Department. This particular matter is currently with the FBI's Counterterrorism Unit. So I would direct the committee to that committee, direct the Judiciary Committee to the Counterterrorism Unit for the status of that investigation. What I can tell you, Senator, is that it's an important priority for the FBI. I understand that they have activated more than half of their field offices across the country to review and investigate this threat.
Thank you, Ms. Clarke. And will you please follow up with me in my office after this hearing and before the end of the week with the name, phone number, and email address of a specific contact at the department who can be a dedicated liaison for HBCUs in Georgia who have questions regarding the ongoing investigation and questions about how they can access federal resources to protect themselves from such threats or incidents?
I will bring that request back to the department, Senator.
Thank you, Ms. Clarke. I'd like to ask you a question now about the ongoing efforts to address hate crimes targeting Asian Americans. We've seen a significant increase. Next week, March 16th, will mark the 1-year anniversary of the devastating massacre that took place in my state at 3 Asian-owned small businesses, killing 8, including 6 Asian American women. Following that event, Congress united to pass legislation to empower the Department of Justice to strengthen its efforts to work with local law enforcement and prevent such hate crimes. What progress has the department made in implementing that law and in responding to the ongoing elevated level of threat targeting Asian Americans across the country?
Thank you, Senator. Attorney General Merrick Garland has issued a memorandum in May of 2021 that calls for a number of things: increased resources to combat hate, the expedited review of hate crimes, which is something that we have instituted and prioritized in the Civil Rights Division, the designation of coordinators at U.S. attorneys' offices in the fight against hate, the creation of district alliances against hate. We've also worked to restore our community relations service and have prioritized the need to provide language access to ensure that no victim is barred from reporting a hate crime because of a language barrier. So there are a number of things that have happened across the department, and what I can tell you is that in the Civil Rights Division, we have doubled down on standing up to this threat, bringing more prosecutions to hold perpetrators accountable and to ensure that the rights of victims are vindicated.
One of the challenges that these incidents clarified is the difficulty that immigrant communities can have accessing the justice system or reporting incidents. I know you've recently spoken to the importance of language access. I wrote a letter to the Attorney General recently asking him to direct federal agencies to update their language access plans to ensure, but not just in the context of justice administration of the Department of Justice, but also in the context of all services provided by federal agencies, that everyone in this country, every community in this country can access information that is vital to communities. Can you speak, please, to the importance of ensuring that in the court system and throughout the government, there be sufficient resources for immigrant communities to understand these civic services, regardless of whether English is their first language?
Incredibly important priority, Senator, for us. We want those who are victimized by hate across our country to reach out and lean on law enforcement, be that local and state law enforcement on the ground or at the federal level. And one of the things that we have worked to do at the Justice Department is to ensure that language is never a barrier. People can go right now to our reporting portal, and we have the ability to communicate with people in multiple languages, including a number of Asian languages. We want to ensure that every victim and every witness is able to bring forth complaints, because if we don't hear from them, then we'll never fully confront and end the crisis of hate crime gripping our country.
Thank you, Ms. Clarke. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, General Clarke. We appreciate your testimony today and your service to our country, and we thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll now call the second panel to the table. 3 individuals.